Welcome back to the Azura Media Club, home of the Bad Girl Coven. I'm your Coven leader, Emily, and today we're talking Elemental. Let's go. Alright, so Elemental, the sequel to Inside Out. No, I'm just kidding. The only reason I'm wearing this is because, this is the only Pixar shirt I own. Surprisingly enough, I fucking love Pixar. I've been watching Pixar movies since I was a little kid. Seriously. I grew up with the two Toy Story movies. I watched A Bug's Life a little bit when I was a kid, but every time there was a Pixar movie, I would see it offhand. I didn't go and see them in theaters or anything. I mean, all the Toy Story movies I definitely did. A couple of the other ones, like the Cars, I didn't get to see that in theaters. I got that on DVD later. I saw Cars 2 in theaters. Such a lame one to see in theaters, right? Inside Out I definitely saw in theaters 5 times. But not all the good ones like WALL-E and Up and stuff. It's really actually disappointing I never got to see any of those in theaters. I saw The Incredibles in theaters I don't know, 5 times or something. At least 3 times with The Incredibles. And then I saw it a lot afterwards. That was a really big one. Everyone kind of watched The Incredibles a lot back then. That's a really good one. I do want to review the other Pixar movies at some point. But here we're talking about Elemental, and I just wanted to talk about Elemental because, it's new. I just saw it, and I actually think it's really good. So, I know this movie's not doing super hot in terms of monetarily, but I think it should be. I think you should all go see this movie. By the way, this isn't the soundtrack to the movie. It's the Inside Out soundtrack because I looked up the soundtrack to the movie and it's not out yet. Across the Spider-Verse had its soundtrack out already, so, I mean, get on the same level, Elemental. It was just all of the, licensed tracks that were already out, so I'm just I don't really want to do that. But, yeah. But you can't go wrong with the Inside Out soundtrack. It's, pretty much perfect, so... But the music in the movie was good. It did give me Inside Out and WALL-E vibes, which, definitely helped a lot. Because those are 2 great Pixar movies. Pretty much all the Pixar movies are great. Except for notably, The Good Dinosaur was, pretty low on the list. And the guy who directed this one, or whatever, Peter Sohn, he was the one who did The Good Dinosaur. And so, I didn't have high expectations going in, but... after seeing the trailers and stuff, I'm yeah, this could be pretty good. And lo and behold, it actually ended up being pretty good, I don't know if I'd put it top tier Pixar, but it's definitely higher to middle tier Pixar movies. It's not going to be Inside Out. I think that's my favorite one. Is that still my favorite one? Yeah, I think that was still my favorite one after rewatching them. I just rewatched them all last year too. I think it was late last year too, so it was I don't really want to review them all right now, but we might do that regardless. I mean, I love Pixar. I can just keep watching those movies again and again and again forever because they're amazing, They're amazing movies. I could watch them all day. But yeah, so Elemental, which is the new one, obviously. Keep straying away from it to talk about Pixar, but it's kind of a movie about spoilers, I guess, by the way. It's about this girl Ember who's a fire creature. They're the 4 elements are different people. I don't want to call her a creature. That seems wrong. I'm just gonna call them people even though they're not technically people, they're not humans, but they're humanoid, so I'm gonna call them that. So these people, there's a fire race, there's a cloud race, there's a water race, and then there's a tree race, an earth race or whatever. And so it's kind of a Zootopia thing where there's this city where they all kind of live together, and it's supposed to be this utopian thing, but it's not exactly that because racism and old school beliefs and tradition and whatnot, which is understandable, but that's kind of the place we're in as a society as well. So I saw a lot of parallels to that, especially near the beginning. There was a lot of racism towards the fire people, because you put them in a like a tree or something, they're gonna burn that down. You put them with the water people are gonna put them out, right? Like that's the idea, elements and whatnot. And that's kind of the core, like, structural, like, thing of the movie, is like elements don't mix. And the main characters kind of disprove that in a sense, and they forge their own path. It's funny, actually, as I was walking out of the theater, I was walking past across the Spider-Verse, and I was listening in. I just wanted to hear what part of the movie it was, and it was right before he says that, like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. And I could hear him say that through the theater, like, entrance there. I thought that was pretty funny. Um, so, good timing on that one, but yeah, so I enjoyed it. I think the opening's a little slow. It kind of sets everything up. We see Ember, our main character, as like a young girl, and her parents like had migrated here from the Fireland or whatever. Um, and they're trying to adjust. They themselves have traditional sort of racist vibes of like not wanting the waters to come near them. Also the waters are dangerous to them, so I mean that makes sense that they wouldn't want the water people to come near them, because water people are dangerous to them. So, but yeah, so and they're dangerous to the fire, or I mean, to the tree people and whatnot. I don't really know who Earth is or air is dangerous to, but eh, whatever. Anyway, point being that I guess the fire, like, if they could blow them out or something, like, fire's really just not got a lot of advantages. Anyway, it's not even about that. It's not even like a Pokemon thing. It's just like they all have to kind of exist together, and that's just how it is. So, yeah, I mean, that's the vibe. And so they run this fire, like, convenience store, basically. I don't know, like, you go there and buy all your fire needs, like fire starters and lighter fluid and stuff, and they deliver this stuff around. I don't know, the business wasn't really that well explained. I mean, like, they also have food there and stuff. I don't know. For all your fire needs, basically. It's called the Fireplace. And the dad has been priming Ember her whole life to take over this place, right? And she's really jazzed about it for a while there. But she's got this temper, and she doesn't always deal with the customers the best because of this temper. Especially when they start, like, trying to break the rules and stuff. Like, getting free stuff and whatever. And she, like, turns purple and, like, boom, she, like, explodes whenever that happens. So, and that's kind of like how the movie kind of kicks off, is he's trying to hand over the business to her so he can retire. And she just thinks like, hey, this is my destiny. This is my position in life. This is where I gotta be. And and she ends up disrupting one of her pipes or something in her basement. And so this other guy flows out, this guy Wade, who's kind of the other main character of the story there. And he's in there, and they start interacting. She tries to get him out of there because she knows her dad is like super against water people or whatever. And yeah, but like eventually they kind of form a thing. Like, I don't really remember how they get to this, like, dam thing, but there's, like, this dam thing that's, like, has a crack in it, or whatever. And that's, like, their responsibility for some reason. So, they try to keep fixing this thing together. They, like, throw sandbags in front of it. That doesn't really do the trick. It keeps trickling, the water keeps trickling through. And the water, when it trickles through the dam thing, it goes, like, down in a path to, like, the fireplace, like, the fire area of town, which is, like, bad. Um, oh yeah. Also, when they first migrate there, like there's like an inspection, like like a person to like let them in and like give them new names and stuff, and they're like, is this considered like really racist? Their names, like to them, like I mean, not like racist in our society, but like calling them like what was it like Cinder and like whatever the other one was like that's I don't know. It just is that the norm or is that just like appropriating kind of names? Like it's just a little odd, right? Like because they couldn't like speak the language entirely or whatever. And they even make a joke about that later. A joke about that later, where the uncle of the water guy is like, "Oh, you speak so fluently in our language or something," and she's like, "Yeah, I've been doing it my whole life," and he just like realizes how racist what he said sounded, and it's like, oh no. So yeah, there's a couple moments like that in there that are kind of odd and uncomfortable, but it's important, I guess, that we tackle that, that we go to those places so we can figure that out within ourselves, kind of thing. Anyway, the point of the movie becomes like so the Wade and the Ember character, they kind of start hanging out a little bit, and they start to develop some attraction to each other. But that's crazy because you can't be with other like races, or whatever. That's like kind of the message. Um, like to me, okay, so like I know the metaphor is supposed to be like a biracial sort of thing, like or not biracial, like a what do they call that? Like a yeah, like a biracial relationship. Like there's two different races coming together. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at this lingo, but that's like the idea is like that's what's the forbidden thing. But it's like to me, like that's not where it resonated because like like I hate to say that's not the thing I latched onto, but the thing I latched onto, like I think that's the intention. The thing I latched onto was it as like an LGBTQ representation kind of thing. You're like, of course, Emily, of course that's what you latched onto, right? You turned it into that, and then it's like, yeah, but I think it's also a good metaphor for that. It's a sort of forbidden love. You're not supposed to, for instance, I mean, and clearly the characters are coded as like a woman and a man, respectively. It's like they're water and fire, but it's like they have more feminine and masculine things. So it's not really an LGBTQ thing, and I get that, but it's like it also has some of those vibes as like, you're in a gay relationship or you're something like that, because they're hiding it and like they don't want the mom to know and they don't want the dad to know because the dad hates like people. And there's even like a coming out scene like near the end where she's kind of like, yeah, there's another theme of the movie where she's like kind of figures out through Wade, she's like doesn't want to run the fireplace like she thought she wanted to. She actually wants to make glass art. She kind of figures that out later, and but she doesn't know how to tell her dad because she's like, well, my dad needs to retire and I gotta take over this place. There's nobody else to run it. This is his dream. This is the dream. And then he says later, it's a really great moment. There's so many good like Pixar tears moments in this movie. And one of them is that like coming out scene at the end where she's like, I don't, and it's like this whole message of being your most authentic self. Like one of these messages I kind of preach as a trans girl kind of thing, like that's really important to me as a message to like pass on to people. Like, hey, just be your most authentic self, live your life, be who you are, basically. Don't hide that kind of stuff. And her coming out with that information that she doesn't want to run the shop, um, she's like, oh, I'm a bad daughter, and she's just like breaking down, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I failed you, and all this stuff. And he's like, the shop wasn't the dream. The dream is you, girl. You're the dream. Whatever you want to do, whatever's going to make you happy, that's the idea. And clearly the dad thought what was going to make her happy was running the shop, because he had primed her for that, and she was really, jumped up about that her whole life. But even then, he realizes that she's not happy at the beginning of the movie, but then when she starts to date this guy, this Wade guy, he sees a new light in her because of that relationship. It opens up a part of her to make her happy, or, it's the missing part of her, basically. As relationships often do, they unlock your potential. The best people and the best relationships get you to rise and become a better version of yourself. And that's what Wade does. He, like I said earlier, she has this, hot streak, she has, this, anger thing. And he cools her down, figuratively and literally, That's kind of the idea, is that he likes to talk about his emotions, and he likes to express his emotions and whatnot. And she's more, reserved, and she doesn't, she's kind of been taught she has to keep in her emotions. A lot like Inside Out, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, not to sideline, I guess, but they did have the short beforehand, and it was all about, Carl from Up. I love Up. It's one of the best fucking Pixar movies. I think it's, number 2 or 3 on my Pixar movies. But god damn it, that was hard to watch, honestly. Not that it was bad, I guess, but, Up ends in such a great way, and then it's, about him preparing for, a date or something, and it's, I get he's, sort of moved on from Ellie, but, at the same time, he still, talks to her in the house and everything, and it's just, this is weird. I get what they're saying and get the message of the thing, but it was really awkward to watch, I guess, is what. And it was funny, because there was this little kid and her mom next to me, a couple seats over. And I'm just sitting here, she's what's going... she had to explain to her about the talking dog, and, oh, Ellie's the house, and she was this girl, and she was, explaining Up to this kid who apparently hadn't seen Up. So, that's kind of messed up. But apparently the mom had seen Up, but I don't know. It's not relevant. Point being, not really a great opening short, but, what do you do? So, back to Elemental. So I really liked that element of her... Element. You see what I did there? Wink, wink. That element of her kind of finally just being okay with, hey, Dad, this is who I want to be. And he was okay with that, too, in the end. And so it was nice. It was great. The whole thing is, he doesn't want anything to do with Wade, and Wade's causing him all this trouble in the movie and stuff, and then by the end, he actually accepts Wade. But I like how the dynamic is that her family doesn't accept Wade, but when she goes to see Wade's family is super accepting of her, and they're so interested in her, and they like her, and stuff, so it's oh, that's kind of cool. We show both sides of the curtain there. Yeah. So... And I really like their chemistry. And there's a lot of scenes where they're, trying to emulate other couples around them. They're dancing together, but then they don't want to touch because they think if they touch, something bad's going to happen, because that's what they've heard their whole life, basically. And there's a scene, later on in the movie where Wade's, trying to convince her, hey, let's just give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And so they, touch on the fingers, and you can see them, their expressions are oh my god, and then they lock fingers, and it's and then they hold each other's hand, basically, and then they embrace each other, and it's really cool. And it's he keeps talking about throughout the movie how the light that she has basically put into his life has made him a better person too. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just really sweet. You gotta go see the movie. Just go see the movie, okay? It doesn't deserve to not do well. It deserves to do well. Anyway, I like them. I like their relationship together. It's rocky, but that's what you can expect because they're different elements trying to be in a relationship together, you know, and that doesn't always work out super well, and it's tough, but they find a way. They work through their issues, and that's the most important part of a relationship is the ability to work through and communicate your issues. And it's really up and down the whole time. It's like, and Ember's mostly like the one kind of like, you're like, hey, this is never gonna work out. You know, you'll be happier with somebody else. Just like, you know, we're good. Like, just, but he keeps persisting. And I know that doesn't sound great, but the way they do it is fine. You know, it's not like a creepy, I still am persisting kind of thing. Because like deep down she does love him. She does want to be with him, but she doesn't want to admit that because also that's, you know, she's not totally in touch with being her most authentic self until the end of the movie. And you know what's interesting, actually? Okay, and I know, stereotypes and whatever, right? Typically, females are seen to show their emotions more and all of that kind of thing, right? That's the stereotype. But here, it's actually the guy who is doing that more, and the girl is holding in her emotions sort of like a guy. So it's kind of role reversed there, you know? It's interesting. Um, I don't know. It's just cool, you know? That's cool. Um, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's much else to say about the movie. I mean, the whole damn thing like keeps coming back again and again and again. It's kind of the reason for them to see each other sometimes and this and that. It's like a weird, you know, like thing to keep them coming together. You know, I don't know if that's like the best subplot arc or whatever. It ends up like I said, spoilers, I guess, bursting at the end of the movie, and she has to like go save her parents and stuff. So it's like a nice emotional thing. Oh, and you know, like another nice moment is when they're trapped in the little room together or whatever. Oh, first of all, her mom is like this fortune teller lady or whatever. And she always like whenever two fire people come in together, they light these little things or whatever, and she's like, you can't light the thing, and he like uses Ember, he puts her behind him, and like through the water, like a magnifying glass, like lights the thing, and I thought that was so cool. Like they found a way to do it, you know? He did it his own way. And the mom was really impressed by that. I think that kind of won her over too. Anyway, they're back inside that same room, but it's like blocked off from every direction. And there's no way for him to get out, and the room's too hot, so he's like burning up or whatever. And you know, he like evaporates and he's gone, and you start to wonder like, oh my god, like did she kill him like by accident, like, you know, just not on purpose, but like uh you know, and then later on they get him to like drip down from above or whatever, because like, but it's a nice emotional moment. And also what's the other one I was gonna just talk about right there? um I don't know. Anyway, um yeah, so it was a good movie, and I think you guys should all go see it. If you haven't seen it, you should probably have seen it before you watch this, but go see it. It's great. Uh, it's not even that long. It's pretty short, actually, if I remember correctly. Like, didn't seem that long. You know, previews and everything. Fucking previews always take forever. But I was only sitting in that movie theater for 2 hours with the preview, so the movie couldn't have been that long, you know what I mean? But yeah. So I liked it. Visually, it looks really nice. Like I said, the music was good. I like all the themes. I like the characters. They're all well done. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm going to give Elemental an 8.3 out of 10. And, yeah, I hope that I hope that people go see it so it doesn't fail. Um, and we'll see how, what is it, Elio or Elio does next year. It looks alright. Looks like it could be decent. I'll go see it. I'm definitely going to go see all the Pixar movies I can in theaters. After fucking Turning Red, and I missed that one. I mean, I don't think that came out in theaters, or maybe it did, like, limitedly, but I missed it. So, I mean, like, you know. Then they put Lightyear in theaters, like, and that didn't do very well. Even though it's a decent movie. I thought it was pretty good, actually. I mean, I liked it. It's obviously a different take on Buzz Lightyear, but, we'll talk about all that some other time. Definitely little teasers there for the Pixar movies. We got lots of those we can review, so yeah, Elemental, it was good. I definitely recommend it. So until next time, never forget that magic comes from the heart.